And I'm gonna actually highlight you, spotlight you. Hello, everybody. This is our next industry guest talk. We are very delighted to host Lukas Nicklaus. Is that Nicklaus? Is that how
it's Nicklaus?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Lukas is the animator, is a very good animator at Weta. I got to know him through his blog. So he has a blog that he shares some of his insights into the industry and thoughts and like advices about how to become a good VFX animation or 3D artist, which is very generous. So then I contacted him because it's very delightful to have someone who has that attitude talking to our students. So Lukas' journey to the industry is very interesting as well. So he's from Switzerland, and like he has traveled all around the world. So like after graduating from Animation Mentor, you joined Pixamondo, right?
Yeah.
Right at the very infancy of it. What year it was? 2009?
11.
11. Oh, yeah. 11 in Toronto.
Yeah.
Then he has worked at Frame Store and MPC in Montreal, and then eventually landed in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and he's an animator in Weta now. So Lukas has worked on some fantastic projects, and including Avengers, War of Planet of Apes, Aladdin, Jungle Book, and you started your own company, right?
I have. Yes.
That's a very cool name, Lukas. Floating Rock.
Yeah, it's complete accident.
Is it?
No, I mean, we wanted to do Little Rock first, but then there's like a studio in California that actually was founded by one of my former teachers, which is called Little Zoo. And then we were just throwing words around and made like a word salad, and we're trying to figure something out, and came up with that.
That's actually pretty cool. Anyone who starts doing visual effects, the first thing they want to do is just rocks floating.
Yeah.
Have you realized that? So actually, it's a name that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so enough me talking. I'm gonna hand it to Lukas. So we go through his talk. Feel free to throw questions whenever throughout the talk. So just drop the message or open your mic and ask the question. We will have a dedicated Q&A towards the end as well. So yeah, it's up to you now. Yeah.
Right. Thanks, Hossein. It's really cool to be with you guys because I don't know a lot about like the schools in New Zealand, or like the kind of the level or whatever like people are getting here in New Zealand, the education. But when I told my fiance that AUT had asked me to do a talk, she was very impressed.
Yay, that's us.
She's not easily impressed. So yeah. So I feel that speaks for you, and I feel quite honored to be here. So yeah, but just bear with me. Like, I'm not a presenter. I like to write, but I'm not really like a big talker. So like, just bear with me as I fumble my way through the stuff that I want to show. Just before I start, like I have all my notes here on the right, so I'll just be looking here on the right. Before I start, I have to give a quick disclaimer that my what I'm saying does not represent the opinions of Weta, and I'm not representing Weta in any way. I'm a freelancer at Weta, so like whatever I'm saying is my opinion alone. And just so you guys, just so no one can come after me afterwards.
Very professional.
So yeah, but I'm gonna switch over to a presentation now for you guys.
So you know how to screen share? It's just right next to the leave button.
It is. Yeah.
There it is.
Can you see it? Cool. Perfect. So this is where I'm from. This
Oh
is
my God.
600 people. I'm not sure if you can see. Can you see my cursor?
Yes, yes.
So this is the school. There's the church. I used to live like in this house here and then in this house here. So it's a small town, and like lots of just agriculture and not much to do. And I actually grew up quite a bit of a bogan, if you want to say it like that, and didn't have a clue of what I wanted to do for a long time. But I was always a dreamer. And when I wanted to, I could do well in school or wherever, but I just didn't apply myself too often. And, it just ended up, like partying a lot, drinking a lot, and not really having, a lot of direction and stuff like that.
That's
But
all of us.
yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess. But like there's one thing that I knew, and that is that I wanted to go overseas and work in different countries. And my godmother had actually worked at Swiss Air, which is the Swiss Airlines that doesn't exist anymore now. And she's lived in New York for a while, and then she took me to New York once, like half a year after 9/11, and just she would always bring me home like Yankee swag and stuff like that, and that actually made me really fall in love with New York and with the big cities and North America and stuff like that. And that's kind of became like a goal in a sense, to make it overseas, and in some way. I had no idea how. I didn't know at that point what work I'm going to be doing or whatever. I just knew I wanted to spend time in a different country as more than just a tourist. But yeah, like I didn't do very well in school. I could have went to university. I would have had the grade, but I was lazy. And my mom and I decided that it was better like to go like a different route, which in Switzerland you can go either the academic route or like the an apprenticeship kind of route, which is more applied crafts or whatever work.
Do you have like Hochschule in Switzerland, like Germany?
Yes, we have a which is like something in between university and apprenticeship. Yeah, I think it's called applied sciences. Funny enough, I ended up teaching summer courses there way down the line. Yeah, but I did an apprenticeship as a typographer, and graduated with decent grades. But just didn't find like good work, or was just still floundering a little bit. But I had a little bit of work, and in the meantime I was also competing in karate.
That's super cool.
I was just I always wanted to do that, and that's actually the first time where I learned working towards a goal, and like putting comfortable things aside to achieve certain goals. Like this is at a Swiss championship, and I even got selected to compete in the European championships. But one thing that I had,
you broke your nose there in the European one.
I did. Yeah, I had it to get hurt.
Oh jeez.
I was always good offense. I wasn't that good at defense.
Wow.
There's actually a YouTube video of that fight. I'm not going to link it, but if you guys can find it, you can.
We'll find it.
Yeah. So, but like there's one big thing that I took away from this, and that is like, as I said, like working diligently and sacrificing other things, like going out, drinking and partying with my friends. I would still go out once in a while, but I was the designated driver, and it's only half as fun. But it gave me great experiences. I got to see different countries and stuff like that, and great friends. They're still my friends these days. So after that apprenticeship was done, there's another thing that happens in Switzerland, especially to men, and that is you have to go to the army.
Yeah. Look at
that. So as annoying as it sounds, it actually taught me a lot about myself. I learned to put my ego aside. I learned teamwork. I learned keeping my things tidy, like making sure that I know where I've put my stuff, because if there's 100 guys in a small ass bunker somewhere in the mountains, stuff gets mixed up very easily. And so I started learning my lessons, and I also joined a unit that was kind of quite hard physically. So again, just that kind of, like finding work ethic and figuring out, to achieve goals. And I think those two lessons with the karate and with the army really like helped me.
Diligence and being focused.
Yeah. And then I came back from the army, was unemployed for a long time, had to move in with my dad's family because I didn't have work. But then I found a job at a local company, and they made me learn 3D software. Want me to visualize stuff like this, which is like events. It was like an event agency, and they were, like building stuff for Swiss companies that had exhibitions, or just like it was at sports events or music festivals and stuff like that. Lots of PR stuff. And I got in there. I don't know how, but I guess the head of the graphics department there saw something in me, and she's actually now one of my best friends still. First real mentor that I had. Like, she kind of took me in and showed me how to, be creative, and gave me a purpose, and showed me that hard work pays off. And she really believed in me, where other people kind of didn't. And we would just visualize, this stuff for client pitches, or even, for manufacturers to produce stuff afterwards. Some really cool stuff, actually. And this is after I switched to Cinema 4D. So I loved, and I tried to push it further, and I couldn't do it with this CAD software. So I switched to Cinema 4D and improved the renders and stuff like that. And in the end, like, stuff would actually turn into real things.
Wow. How was the feeling? How was the feeling?
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see this. And for the Swiss national football team, whenever they would play a game in Switzerland, we would be there and, have those tents up and would run the promotion. You would get to see all the games, and that was really cool. You'd actually, like, be on the pitch right next to the players. And just the first time where hard work and, applying myself really started paying off. But then I was still, like, competing in karate as well, and was doing a lot of things. That's the thing. Once you realize what you can do, you start loading yourself up with maybe too much sometimes. And I was actually qualified for the World Championship in Chicago, but then I got injured. Did you? Yeah.
Wow, you got serious in it, man.
Yeah. But literally 3 weeks before the tournament, I got injured. I couldn't go. But it's just, that's just what happens sometimes. And in the end, it was a great lesson, and it was a nudge from fate into to nudge me in the right direction, because I had to pause for more than half a year, and that caused me to look for something to do, and I couldn't do anything physical. So I found Animation Mentor. Yeah. And I hadn't done any animation before, and I didn't know, what was doable. I was modeling in Cinema 4D, and I thought that was cool. But I was looking for something else to do. And Animation Mentor had those really cool student showcases back then. Like, they were amazing, and they blew me away. And suddenly, that also made me realize, if I become an animator, I could go work overseas.
I can travel.
So I pitched this to my dad, and he paid the tuition for me, which was, I think, about $18,000.
Yeah, it's like still is a expensive course.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. But I learned so much, and I learned English in that course, or like, I mean, I knew a little of English, but that's where I learned to speak English because I had to interact with my teachers and my co-students, and it was just, that was, like that kind of path where suddenly, a new direction kind of, and a new path opens up and offers itself, to be pursued. And I remember when I had just started studying at Animation Mentor when Avatar came out. And I went to see it 3 times in 2 days. And I remember racing home after the first time. And what I would always do at that point is like go through IMDb and find names that sounded Swiss, like last names that sounded Swiss, and contact those people. So I actually found one guy at Weta who worked on Avatar, and I sent him an email. And funny enough, I mean, yeah, we're working together now. He's now a great friend of mine, and he became like my next kind of mentor that I would every half a year I would send him my reel and get feedback from him, would just be in contact. And that helped me. That method actually helped me connect with a lot of people. Have a
finding your
friend
mates. Yeah,
exactly. And there's like, I know all the Swiss guys in the industry through this because there's not. I think now we're about 7 or 8. Back then it was 4 guys, and I was the 5th. So it was funny how you make those connections.
Yeah, we all do that. Like my students, I don't know if they realize or not. Suddenly there's a lot of Persian name popping in our industry guest speakers. Yeah.
Connect with, I guess. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think through Animation Mentor, I think the dream of working at Pixar kind of crystallized, which is funny. Like everyone wants to work at Pixar, I guess. Because they're best. What's funny is I remember seeing Toy Story as a kid. I was not impressed. Or even seeing Incredibles, I'm like, meh. But when I started studying animation, that's when I started, like appreciating like the amazing
amount of work
art.
and detail.
Yeah, just the excellence that these guys had achieved, and I wanted to become as excellent as these guys. And the only way to become as excellent as these guys, to me, was going to work with them and learn from them. So that's kind of how it became my goal to work at Pixar. Actually, when you talked about my affinity with writing, or I like to write. I actually back then I fell in love with animation so much I wrote whole essays just for fun on an old blog that's still out there if you can find it, about how amazing all these films are. I wrote an essay about Tangled, about Wall-E, about Ratatouille, just like kind of like sorting my thoughts and
expressing excitement. Yeah,
and also I feel that for me it was a way to analyze what made those movies good.
Awesome.
But then so I graduated with this reel from Animation Mentor, and it's actually the reel that also got me a job. So I'm not sure if you can hear it. I can't. Doesn't matter. Everyone starts small. Like you still see the grid, stupid 2D backgrounds, and and nothing. I mean, I wouldn't hire this person these days.
They're actually good. They're actually good.
It's the curriculum from Animation Mentor, Oh, this is a good one here. Look at the good old the knee pops and knee. There's something we still haven't solved in the industry these days. Wait 1 second. I want to go back to real quick to show this. Locking a knee on the ground is so hard.
It's a nightmare.
Still haven't figured this out today. But yeah, of course I had to do that in my assignments. But yeah, this is what I graduated with. And
So is that so you exhibited this in California, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the next thing. So I went to California for graduation, and so met lots of, like my biggest idol, one of the best animators that I know, Carlos Baena. Met my Swiss friend Simon for the first time at Pixar. This is a cool group for this Svetla, one of my best friends now as well, who's is at Disney now. Sean Kelly from ILM, one of the teachers, and Christina, who's working with me on the same project right now.
Oh, interesting. Small world.
And we've been in contact for years, but then we found each other again at Weta in the end. And this is funny because, we're in Los Angeles, but we're at the bar and we're critiquing each other's animation. That's how we were. But yeah, and I also went in California. I went to SIGGRAPH, and that's where I met that recruiter from Pixar.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing was that everyone lined up at the ILM booth and Digital Domain and the big ones.
Yeah.
And no one was really interested in Pixar. And I was like, maybe it was me being lazy. I didn't want to wait all day to line up for, I knew the quality of my work, and I didn't want to line up just to be rejected. So I lined up at the Pixar booth and actually got to talk to a recruiter and noticed that she was German. Of course, it's a German company. So we started talking German to each other, and that gave us a connection right away. And my work and finished my trip, went home, and 2 months later, she messaged me and offered me a position at that studio that they're opening up in Toronto. I think Pixar was one of the first kind of studios that really started opening satellite studios all over the world. And So I was actually hire number one, apparently. That's what they told me.
Let's start with Lukas.
Yeah. I don't know how that happened, but yeah. But they had to set up the studio first, so I had to wait for half the year. But yeah, eventually I moved from the small town in Switzerland with 600 people to big city Toronto, and I was happy because that's Toronto is kind of the New York of Canada in a way.
Yes.
It was awesome. It was really, really great to just get there and be on my own. And, I felt so free. And I felt like because all of my distractions I left them behind in Switzerland. My friends, I had no one. And that actually allowed me to focus really hard on a goal that I wanted to achieve, working at Pixar. Or I started Pixamondo. I worked, the first few weeks at Pixamondo, we were ordering furniture and screens and stuff like that because we were still setting up the studio. And then I started on Hugo as a match move artist. So I didn't even get to do animation first. They just didn't have any animation work. And actually the studio manager told me he has no idea why I am there. He would have never hired me because they have no work for animators at that point. And I guess I kind of snuck my way in by, going through that German recruiter that I guess liked me in a way, or I don't know.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's, I applied myself, I learned the tracking thing, and I helped on the project as much as I wanted. And, in the end, or as much as I could, but in the end, it even won an Oscar, visual effects Oscar. So that's cool. And it's Martin Scorsese. So the first movie wins an Oscar, and it's a Martin Scorsese movie. That was
a hit.
Unbelievable. And just, I felt that's the kind of stuff I want to do. It's just so much fun seeing behind that process and working with people who, like, everyone knew more than me. Everyone, they had done an actual education in this field, whereas I had done an online course. And, but I knew how behind I was, and I just worked my butt off. after working at the office, I kept taking online classes, and I worked most of the weekends, just at home on my own stuff. I remember reading an interview of a German athlete that I really admired, and he mentioned that he even broke up with girlfriends in service of his career, to reach his goals. And I thought, okay, if that's what it takes, I'm going to do it. And just, that's how determined I was. And I just knew that I had to make up for my lack in, traditional education with crazy hard work and catching up somehow. And I even had my dad taunting me with a job because he has a street construction company, and had I had to go back, I would have had to be a grunt worker in his company, like shoveling dirt, stuff like that.
Which is okay. I like building.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. But
not
it's
every day.
As much as not every day. Yeah, but like making movies is more fun and get paid for it. Make monsters and animate them and move them and like get paid. That's super cool.
Yeah, no, it's so much fun. I mean, I still love our work. And I think that's the thing that carried me through all this. I'm going to get into this later a little bit more, but like I never needed someone to tell me to go practice. I always wanted to do it on my own. And I think that's a huge thing. Like I had so much passion for this, and that's what carried me through. Because, if someone else would have, started feeling lonely, or, wouldn't have wanted to work 80-hour weeks for, like, I don't know how long. So yeah, I think that's just something that really carried me through. And then I actually got to do some animation. I think we did Spider-Man first, where animation, like there's this is Dr. Connors, the guy who's playing the Green Lizard. I don't know what the character's called, and he has like this arm stump. Empty arm, and we animated that arm because it was replaced his real arm. He has this real arm in a green sock, and we replaced the sock with the stump. And then we did the intro sequence for Snow White and the Huntsman, where I actually got to animate some actual characters, even like these black knights that get slashed on by an army. But yeah, it wasn't anything spectacular to get started with, but it gave me a leg in. And actually, what's a funny anecdote from this is that, so you see this arm stump, this is what we animated. Because we did everything ourselves, we needed skin texture reference for this arm stump, and this is actually my elbow here that they took reference. That arm stump with.
That is a very cool story.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm immortal now in film history.
Yeah, my elbow is there.
But yeah, after a year at Pixamondo, I'm not sure if I got let go. No, my contract ran out, and they didn't have work. They had no animation work for a while, so they couldn't renew it. And I moved on. Oh wait, should I show you the reel first? Yeah, because of course I want to show you like what I had been working on in the meantime. So this is my 2012 animation demo reel. So this is all stuff I did in my spare time, like in late nights and weekends. And of course, I was tailoring, like my work towards where I wanted to go, which is Pixar. So lots of character animation, pantomime. I was there experimenting with rigid body simulation just to see if that could, enhance my work. You'll see it in a second. There it is. It's just, experimenting and, figuring things out. And I guess You know, my
1 minute, yeah.
hard work definitely. I mean, you can see it. You know, the hard work is starting to pay off. It's improving.
And this
yeah.
is from your
Yeah, this is from the first
2011 showreel.
Actually 2012.
Yeah.
This is still my animation mentor work because I don't know, some of it's still in. But yeah, so with that, I moved on to Soho Vfx, which is another company in Toronto, and only got in because a friend of mine put in a word, and there I worked on a little bit on Secret Life of Walter Mitty. We did there was a CG shark when he falls in the water, CG shark. I'm not sure actually if it ended up in the movie. I've actually never seen the movie, but we also worked on this little show called The Beat Party, which is like cartoony. See if I'm not sure if I actually. Oh yeah, I have the reel. So, come on. There you go.
Liam has watched the movie you mentioned and says definitely a shark in the water.
Oh, there is one. Okay, there you go.
There is one. Yeah, okay. Your shot is there.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Okay, but let's have a look at these like little cute.
Yeah, and
vegetables.
The cool thing here was that it had to be, like we were delivering 20 seconds a week, so really fast, cartoony kind of schedule.
They're cute.
Yeah, and fun, super fun, right? You have to be efficient and you have to be economical, or like know how to help yourself. And it's the story of these 5 beats that beatbox.
So there's actually beats that do beatbox. Yeah.
Beatboxing beats. So yeah, but it really, helped me hone my, I guess, the craft, not really the artistry, because it was more important to deliver stuff in time than deliver it, like make it look cool. And it was, of course, it had its limitations in budget as well. So I think that's something every artist should be doing, though, at some point, because where's the audio here? It makes you focus on, like efficiency, and you really get to know your tools, and you can do stuff in your sleep, which then down the road, once you're better, allows you to actually focus on the art. You don't have to think about how to do stuff anymore. And that's only done when you have to do stuff, like a lot of volume. Just put stuff out there. And that's something that I took away from this, is just, put stuff out there. There, stuff would just get approved, and I could just, put ideas in there, but it was more about just getting stuff out there.
Sorry. That shot was just caught my cut.
Yeah, it had some wacky ideas, but yeah, and there I am.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So yeah, but that didn't last too long either, because I was ambitious and I wanted to make it to the big leagues. So I applied to. I heard that Framestore Montreal was opening up, and I applied and they hired me. So I got to go to Framestore in Montreal, which was a whole new world. Like now I was working with world-class artists at a world-class studio, and you could tell. I remember I came in the first few weeks. We had monthlies, which is like a monthly. They're just showing what they've been doing, and they showed a reel of Gravity, which hadn't been released back then yet. But I came out of that screening and my mind.
Hello. Hello.
I just I loved, what they've been doing, and I couldn't believe, like the people that I was surrounded with. And I really tried to just soak up every piece of knowledge that I could get. And in the end, they got the Oscar for Gravity, but I got to hold it too.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
I love Gravity. Gravity
Yeah.
is one of my favorite movies. It's I got that mind blowing effect you got.
I mean, it's just, whether the story, makes sense in certain points, it doesn't even matter. It's just the visual style.
That's the apex of visual effects, when it serves the story and like storytelling. It means something. It just like it's not just like a bunch of random effects thrown on the screen. It's contributing to the delivery of a genuine, like, lovely story.
Yeah, exactly. And it made me, like, just realize that I'm not part of this. And I found some really great mentors there, actually. And I feel like that's where I really, like, I rose to another level of just competence. And also made lots of friends that I'm still in contact with today. We were a small team. We were, I think, 7 or 8 people in the beginning. We started on Robocop first, which, the movie didn't turn out great, but it was a perfect starter for me to get into. And then we did Edge of Tomorrow, which didn't look like it was going to be good, but turned out to be a great movie.
It's nice.
And I was super junior, so I didn't get any cool work, but just being part of it was amazing. And then we got to do Paddington, and like, when your heart is in something, you do great work. And that this project showed me, because that's the kind of work that I just loved doing, bringing this little guy to life. And I think I have a reel. So I'm gonna show you the reel of us shooting reference for Paddington, because it's just that's the process that you don't get to do all the time in visual effects. And for Paddington, we actually got to do that, and it was so much fun, to just geek out a little bit. Him going to the door, and all kinds of stuff. We had a suitcase.
Oh my god. I bet the filming of the references was as fun as animating it.
So much fun. And to me, like, this is now like such an integral part of my workflow, actually. Like, I explore so much when I'm shooting reference, because you can lock yourself in a room, and for hours you can just, experiment with acting choices. No one judges you. No one's going to see what you're doing. And you can just, be creative and explore what works, and then watch it. And in the end, almost like make it into a choreography. That's what my partner's a dancer. So she actually taught me about, like, you decide on acting choices, and then you almost count once, you count the beats, so that you can create a choreography that works within that shot that you're trying to create. So it's just that kind of process really started, to crystallize out for me. Well, by the way, this is a great take here from David, who's working at Weta now as well. So the construction workers walk in, and they're like,
what's wrong with these guys? Look at that.
Just, Laurent here experimenting with how the suitcase might fall, snow walls, and then in the end we had a little bit of fun. Because that's what Paddington does all the time, right?
Yes.
Wave the hat. So Paddington was that gave me so much direction again, you know, like figuring out what I love to do. And funny enough, during Paddington, I got a call from Weta to come and work on The Hobbit. But I loved Paddington so much, and we were a little bit late in the delivery schedule, that I turned them down because I wanted to finish Paddington and I didn't want to leave the team alone.
Yeah.
So that was late 2014. Turned down Weta. Yeah,
but you were doing what you were enjoying, you know. That's the point. You just like, once you really enjoy what you're doing, it cannot be compared with anything, you know.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And especially, as you said before, you know, getting paid. I wasn't getting paid great, but I was getting paid to work on this thing. So yeah, it's okay, I'm going to show you my visual effects for you after this as well. So yeah, like I just came out with so much more experience out of my time at Framestore, and my work, of course, improved.
Look at the lighting.
I didn't do the lighting. That's actually my friend Alex Ronco who did the lighting, and I promised him to somehow pay him back for this, and I never did. Yeah. So this is my Paddington work that I got to do. Throwing the suitcase, as you saw earlier, on the stairs. That shot actually got caught, but I kept it in. I got to. Yeah, just.
You did everything in the shot, like facial motions as
we did
well.
everything.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Because Paddington has a lot of beautiful facials as well.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, we did all of that. This is
These
from
creatures are really hard to animate.
Yes, they were super hard. This was hard too. I did the hands, the mechanical hand here. That's a CG hand, and yeah. But yeah, just, you know, I think, you know, like whenever I did a reel, I tried to, you know, make it a step higher from what I had shown the last time. And yeah, got a bit more.
I like how you still like, you know, I think these are like in your spare times, while you're working on like world-class project, you still do something on your own.
You know, I'm relentless in the pursuit of my goals. I mean, you know, it can make things difficult for, like, in personal life sometimes, or you know, it brings sacrifice. But at that time I was just so determined. I knew Montreal wasn't going to be my last you know, like
stop.
Yeah, in this industry. And, you know, yeah, I was just pushing, and, you know, I think that's what made my work stand out in the end. So after that, I got an offer from MPC to go work on Pan, and took it. In Framestore, I gave Framestore the opportunity to match the pay, but they didn't want to. And you know, I was not making a lot of money back then, and any extra dollar kind of helped. So yeah, I got to. And the movie, again, you know, the movie is, you know, like nothing special, but again, we made it special with the work that we got to do, and I just enjoyed working on we did those big, they called the Neverbirds. There's like this one sequence where they fall into the forest, and these big birds with skull heads chase them. And later down the road, he's actually riding one of them and flying them. And so we animated those, and, you know, that's the first time where I really had to study creatures and, you know, like find reference that I couldn't shoot myself, and just spend finding, you know, like bird reference. And that was a really interesting thing to do as well. And our supervisor was an ex-ILM guy. And again, you know, I think I'm one thing that I kept doing is finding my mentors, and he kind of became a mentor. again at that company, and like he took his time sometimes, after work to sit down with me and looking at my work and showing me what I could be doing better, and just pursuit of excellence. I guess that's just the topic of that phase of my life, is the pursuit of excellence at any cost. I also did like a little bit of work on Terminator Genesis because they were late. The other team was late on delivery, and because I had done the Robocop hands, they had to do like some of the functioning hands of Arnie.
You're doomed with cyborgs. Yeah.
But yeah, so after that, I was only at NPC for 7 months, and then I got hired by Sony, which you don't see in my resume because back then Canada had a 4-year limit on temporary residency, and I would have to become a permanent resident, which would have not been a problem, but Sony would have had to wait for me for 3 months. And I had my interview with them. I told them, look, you got to wait 3 months. The recruiter was fine with it. Said, oh, yeah, it's fine, sign here. So I signed. Would have been good money. And then I'm being passed on to the internal HR department, and they didn't know that they have to wait for 3 months. So when I told them
immediately,
So when I found out, I basically got an email. We are taking back our offer, and you can't come, in a sense. But that same week, Weta called me again.
Yay!
Sometimes, fate, when you're working hard enough, I guess fate kind of helps you. That's what I hope to believe, or try to believe, and just things try to fall into place when you're like on the right path. So
universe likes good animators.
Yes, yeah, that might be it. Yeah, but yeah, so Weta flew me all the way down here. That was in April 2015, I think. 2015, I came down here, and I got to work on the Jungle Book right away.
That was a massive project. Lots and lots and lots of animals.
Yes, we did all of King Louis. We did all the Bandar log, monkey kind of stuff.
Wow, that's my favorite part, actually.
Oh yeah, good.
Yeah.
Especially
when the king says, "Ooh, ooh, ooh." Sorry, but like it's just that part is just so like when singing at the end of like singing, like he just like I like that part.
And it was so funny because the voice was Christopher Walken, right?
Yeah.
So we would not just study monkeys or orangutans, which is an ape. We would also study Christopher Walken.
Yes,
and
the way he just
so much, and try to kind of bring him into that. And I was just determined to make my mark on that show. I came to Weta, and Weta, I'm sure you guys know, Weta has a reputation of long hours. Back then, even more. Like now, they have things much more under control. Back then, they, everyone knew that on Hobbit they were doing 100-hour weeks and stuff like that, and I was down for that. Because that's, now I don't have to work at home anymore. I can do my 100 hours all at work and get paid, and actually work with, Weta and ILM. They're above everyone else. That's like the world's best, and I knew that, and I was going to pour all my energy into this, and I worked really hard. There was a month, I think it was October 2015, where I did like 380 hours in 1 month, just finishing that Jungle Book movie. But in the end, I think it paid off because.
Did you ever go home?
Sleep, yeah. Well, the good thing is, Weta is great, is looking after their people. So if you work late and you leave, I think after 10, you get a cab home.
Yeah,
and stuff.
it's
like
a
that.
company with a heart. It's not
Yes,
heart. They're not heartless. They're
that's what makes them great. Yeah, but yeah, where was I? So yeah, Jungle Book was just that first project, and I feel like I managed to make my mark because in the end I got to like Disney tagged on a post credit sequence or like a credit sequence where the book is opening and you flipping through the pages and there's a few shots with King Louis, and we were 3 guys who animated those 3 shots where King Louis is in it, and I got to do one of those, and that kind of was like at Weta, if you excel, you get paid off with really cool work. And that kind of, I think that was kind of, like the animation supervisor, Paul, showing me that, that I had done good work. Yeah, where am I here? But being in New Zealand also gave me time to reflect because this is in Castle Point, up on the big mountain there that they have. And I remember we went there with a bunch of work friends, and I just sat down there for a second and just reflected on how far I had come. Ignore the hair, and it's windy up there. Let's just say that. But I just said, I started to realize, how all that hard work had brought me all the way, literally, to the other end of the world. Had I went any further, I'd actually get closer to home again. Just because you're, you're the earth, and I felt like true ownership of my achievement, and that's an amazing feeling. When you've worked so hard and you actually you realize I did this. Yeah, and that's kind of what I realized up there on that mountain in Castle Point. I don't know if anyone has been, but it's a beautiful place. And then after Jungle Book, I took some, like I finally gave myself license to go to a party, which is where I met my now fiance Kate. That's just another story, actually. I remember we were working on Jungle Book, and they were shooting Ghost in the Shell down the road at Stone Street, and of course Scarlett Johansson was in that movie, right? So one day someone runs into the office and like Scarlett Johansson is on the mocap stage. So everyone runs over. Suddenly, everyone had a reason to because there's like this row of windows upstairs where you can look down onto the stage, and we went over and there was a woman on the stage, but it wasn't Scarlett Johansson. And that night I met my partner, or my fiance Kate. We found out that was actually her. That was Kate, because she is also, as a former dancer, she has also been engaged by Weta once in a while to do motion capture performance. Wow. So it's kind of, again, fate in a way, like showing me what's about to come, because I had no idea when I met her in person that she was that woman that I saw there on the stage. Yeah. But it's just, the industry is small. And I thought that was a funny story. But then we moved on to apes, and I'm just gonna play Andy here as he is delivering his line, because I love this transition. It shows kind of the core of the work that made Planet of the Apes so special. That was probably the project where I felt the most on the top of my game, as we were, making like that final chapter of that trilogy and working with all these guys who had done the first 2. And this is probably the most lifelike and realistic CG that I've ever seen before. And being a part of that team at Weta was just incredible. And just poured myself into that work, and it's still one of my absolute highlights in my career. I'm working on that team, like I feel like we created truly something special there. And I even got to jump into one of those suits for one day, along with Kate, my partner. We got to be on the stage together, monkeying around, and just a very special project. And I found this just to give you guys a little bit of an insight, like what those facial rigs look like. This is on YouTube. It's not anything secret. But the way our facial rigs, or those facial rigs were set up on apes is based on the fax system. I don't know if you've heard of this, like that.
Yeah,
And,
actually, our students work with fax as well. Those who are doing facial for their project. Yeah.
Right. Perfect. Yeah. So whether does, because like it has to be based in reality, and this is how like those expressions are set up. But you see here we have like controls for inner brow, outer brow, the procerus, and the brow lowerer, and like the list goes on, and this is like another kind of like the workspace that we have with our tool shelf up here, and facial library here. And you can find some videos on YouTube where you can look a little bit into our workspaces.
Is that facial library like kind of presets that you it's kind of like an animation library?
Yes.
Yeah, like
it's like
frequently used, like expressions that you have animated and you reapply, right?
Yeah, but you also like Weta has a dedicated facial animation team as well. So on a project like this, they in pre-production they would create some key poses, also like phonemes and stuff like that, and populate the library for everyone to use. But then during the project, we would like put more stuff in. Like someone would create a nice pose or something like that. We would actually put that still in the library for everyone else to use, or at least for people to go and analyze like what controls did we use. Because Dan Barrett, the animation supervisor on this, was super particular on how we use this facial rig, because it was built to be used in one specific way, and that's the only way we could achieve that hyper realism. And has all to do just with studying those, like we had the face takes from the face camera that they were wearing, and you could see like which muscles firing. And I remember sitting in a meeting with Dan once, and we were talking just about the size or of the epicanthic fold, which is the little fold here underneath the eye. And that's how much in detail we would go with this. And I loved that. Just that's it's the same kind of topic of excellence.
So you never see yourself the same in the mirror after that.
Yeah. But yeah, just you get so deep into this, and I love that, because that's when you truly like you gain a depth of knowledge about something that is hard to achieve with like superficial study. You really have to put yourself in there, and I committed myself completely, and I think I did a good job.
Asking for future, are these images that, because we usually like publish the talk we have on web. Is it okay? So these are like publicly available.
I got this screenshot from YouTube, so that's all good.
Okay, great. All good.
Unfortunately, we didn't win an Oscar for this.
You should have.
Yeah, we should have. But Blade Runner. Anyway, it's fine. That's a different topic. But that's when I finally created a new demo reel after all this time.
Yeah, after 4 years. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm gonna play that for you now. Oh, this is also including my Avengers work. And I think there's some Battle Angel on this as well.
Yeah, that was my favorite part. I said, yeah. Ooh, you did this type of.
I was playing it to the Baywatch song, and I was kind of trying to mirror the Baywatch intro.
Wow. Look at emotions coming through. Oh my God.
It's funny actually, in shots like this, there's so little going on actually in the mouth, like controls are barely moving. And it's more about, finding those perfect
subtle, yeah.
But then Battle Angel, which was a ton of fun. And some of the more adventurous stuff. Oh, this is even including my Aladdin work as well. This is that shot that I got to do with at the end of Jungle Book, which I got to come up with this whole performance on my own, which was really fun. Yeah, and then Aladdin, that's the next step that I'll talk about later. Just tons of monkeys in Jungle Book. More apes here. This shot actually has 80 apes in it. You just don't see them.
Wow. Paddington.
More stuff, I think, yeah. More hand stuff. Yeah. Just, that was apes, that's probably still my absolute favorite project that I've ever worked on. And after Battle Angel, Weta laid off about 30% of their animation department, and I was one of them. So I had to find more new work, and there's not much work in New Zealand, other than so. ILM had contacted me a few times before, or I had been in contact with them before, and they were hiring for Aladdin up in Vancouver. So, and they offered me a senior animator role there, and I said, okay, I'm coming. Which was just like for this project, I went to Vancouver, and it was difficult because I had just met this amazing woman down in New Zealand. I hadn't wanted to leave Weta.
Love comes, yeah.
And had to go. And I mean, it's, I was still at ILM as a senior animator, but it kind of messed with my mindset that I wasn't with my woman and I wasn't where I wanted to be. And I didn't really want another Disney movie. I mean, remake, because in between there was like a bunch of others, I think, that weren't received as well. And I was kind of tired of this stuff as well. And I wanted to do something cartoony again. So I wasn't in a good mindset back in up there. Just like suffered my way through there, and came back and took some time off. You know what? It's been 8 years.
That's the best thing to do sometimes. You just take some time off and take care of yourself.
Yeah, and it's been 8 years of craziness. I either I worked 80 to 100 hours at home, at working at home, or 80 to 100 hours at Weta. Well, not all the time. Actually, Weta got much better, in the last few years, where they, they're not doing these crazy hours anymore. But I came back. Weta asked me to go in for 1 month to help a little bit on Avengers Endgame. I did that, but then I really just wanted to take time off, and it was really good for me because after that, I got an offer from Animal Logic in Sydney, and got to go work on Peter Rabbit 2.
Yay!
And I have a furry little animal that I get to animate. That's what I love. And it's amazing what the right project in the right environment can do to you, because it gave me all my love for the work back and showed me what I'm good at and showed me that I know what I'm doing. Because
I
I
know
had
animals.
yeah, it's just, if you're not in the right mindset, you're not doing good work, and you can see that. And finally getting back to that was amazing, like finally being able to put out great work again. And Animal Logic itself was great as well. And just, a great team. But again, it was away from home, in a sense. Home is New Zealand now. And
I like how you call New Zealand home.
Yeah, no, it's my home now. Yeah, there's no question. We just bought a house, and we're staying.
Oh, congratulations.
So yeah. So after I came back, the timelines start overlapping a bit because I was so full of energy. I had all my optimism and my passion back, and I just tackled like a million projects. My dog is running in. Hey, get out. So yeah, I tackled a million projects, probably a little bit too many. But I came back, and most of all, first, Weta wasn't hiring at that point. They had like a little bit of a different strategy. They were either hiring super senior people or quite junior people, and I was right in the middle. And so I didn't get an offer to go back to Weta at that point. So, but funny enough, while I was in Sydney, we got a new neighbor who had his own company who was working with Valve. One of the few outside collaborators of Valve. So I got to work on these shorts with embedded in the team at Valve, and that is like just another level of, like, it's so different from the visual effects studio environment.
Yeah, it's a totally new game.
Yes, totally. Yeah.
So you were working remotely, right?
I was working, from Wellington, yeah. And hugely satisfying experience, because they gave me complete creative freedom. They trust me to bring my work up to the level that it needed to be, and even the supervisor.
So you had like maximum creative,
yes,
freedom.
yeah.
That's the dream. Yeah.
And that's how that whole company works, and that's why they're making such amazing content, because they are actually letting the artists, take responsibility.
Wow.
And that's something that I took away from that I want to do with my own company as well. But it's just, to stay with Valve for just a second. It was just a really small team, and I even got to work with some of my idols again, like Cameron Fielding, who's an ex-DreamWorks guy, true legend, supervised the team, and it wasn't actually a supervisor relationship. We would just discuss stuff. We were sitting in a virtual circle and discuss how can we make this better. That's just amazing. There's even some ex-Pixar people on the team, so I got to work with Pixar people after all. Just true revelation of how else you could work on a project. And then at the same time, I was kind of hoping to work on Avatar still, I hadn't really, shut down on the Weta, the Weta kind of return, and Weta actually, I'm going to play these later. Weta, there it is. Weta kind of brought me back, or offered me to come back, I think in June last year. So they got me back to work on these two projects, but at the same time, this is why the timelines kind of overlap. We had also started our own company, Floating Rock. Me and my friend Garrick and Steph. Garrick is an ex-Weta guy, and Steph we met at Animal Logic. And so now, I was working too much again. I was working at Weta and for Floating Rock. Because Floating Rock really exploded, and we got to do quite a bit of work for some really great companies, and I'm not sure if it was like now looking back, I'm not sure if it was the right decision to go back to Weta back then. Now I'm actually quite happy, but it's just with decisions that you make sometimes, you know, like it's like that path when I started doing animation mentor, you know, like it can lead you down a different road. And I decided to go back to Weta despite Floating Rock having all that work. It's just I'm not sure. I hadn't really finished with Weta yet. I can't tell you why exactly. It's just I hadn't finished yet. But yeah, now looking back, I'm not sure if it was, you know, like I would have probably been as happy as I am now in the other way as well. But yeah, went back to Weta, got to work on these two shows. The work wasn't, and that's why I'm like a little bit hesitant to talk about this, or like not sure how to classify it, because these shows were not fun. You know, I there's this visual effects stuff. Sometimes, you know, it's difficult. It's very technical, and especially Christmas Chronicles had to just be done and had to be pushed out. And
it's hit and miss most of the time. Like, you know, you never get like best shows all the time, you know.
So exactly.
Sometimes,
and having come from that experience with Valve, I really struggled with this. And Eternals had, you know, like no real animation in it. We were animating, you know, arrows or axes or swords and stuff like that. And, so I struggled for about a year, you know, like trying to find a way to, you know, find my way back. And, you know, because I loved Weta. I love Weta as a company. It's just the work was completely unfulfilling, and it showed in my work, you know, and I started losing my confidence again. And I was this close to leaving Weta, but I talked to one of my best friends, who's like the mentor that I have here at Weta, and just told him, look, I'm about to leave. I don't think this work is for me. And he is a supervisor, and he has kind of an overview of what else is out there. And he went and put in a word for me with the head of animation, and they put me on a project that I'm on right now that I can't talk about, but it's the first project in the animated division that Weta is opening up, like Weta Animated. And
wow. Okay, good news coming. Exciting.
And now I'm actually in the position or in this team where, you know, like that talks to each other. We're creative and doing really amazing work, completely new project, and like nothing that's Weta has ever done before. Having an absolute, you know, blast, and I feel like I'm working with the world's best team again. And I've learned so much in the last 3 months, probably more than I've learned in the year before that. And this is probably where my journey, you know, like comes to today, where I'm soon going to have to make a decision what I'm going to do, whether I'm going to stay at Weta or whether I'm going to commit to that company that I founded that has, you know, like we are flooded with work too, and we're actually having cool work as well. It's fun, and I actually enjoy, you know, like leading a company and being a boss. But yeah, so you know, like we're not there yet, but soon there's going to be like another one of those kind of paths that you have to choose and figure out, that I have to choose and figure out where to go next. And this is
how many people you are at Floating Rock? Is it just 3 of you, or you have started recruiting as well?
We have brought on another person who we made a director as well, and is now a co-owner. And he's a modeler, amazing modeler, also ex-Weta. And we have been, over the course of last year, I think we've been growing and shrinking our team depending on the demand. We've worked on like a animated feature earlier this year where we had 4 animators hired, and At some point, I think the biggest we were was about 10, 12 people.
Yeah.
Then we were working on 3 different projects at once.
I ask because like just know if at some point if I can market my students.
Oh, well, you know, I'm gonna
So
get
we
to
have like fantastic modelers like Daria and Supa here, amazing FX artists like Tamir, and like amazing like you know, we've got plenty of talents. And like many of my students go to Weta as well, but like you know, it's I'm very glad to see new entities, new companies emerge, and like so it shows that the market is expanding, different approaches. I like working in small companies myself because you learn more, you do more, you
and you get to do like a broader range of stuff.
Yes,
that's one thing, you know, that I really love. You know, I mean, not just me working as an artist at Floating Rock, especially as that though too. Like I'm getting to learn modeling from Laurent, which we brought on. But I also get to, you know, like I get to, I'm doing the finances and stuff like that, and actually I'm enjoying that too. So yeah, it's a whole new thing. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm ending my journey, where I have to decide, you know, what's going to be next. And you know, before my last, I'm going to pitch Floating Rock to you guys in a second, but it's just,
do it.
I wanna first, I have written down just a few, I guess, things that, you know, I guess principles that,
that's,
you know,
that's
help.
what we were waiting for.
Okay, so I talked for an hour just for this.
No, I mean, just like it was fantastic to go through your journey, Lucas. You know, the journey. I still see the karate guy with a broken nose animating. So like that diligence, that determination, it's been the key in your journey, which is fantastic. And you made a lot of friends. I quite enjoyed that you pointed like, I met this friend there, I met that friend there. So it's like through going around and working in different places and working hard and following your passion, you just meet like lots of fantastic, amazing people through your life that they become part of your life. Absolutely, which is great. Okay, so we're all ears.
All right. I'm going to drop some knowledge bombs on you now. No, I mean, it's just, you know, I wrote this down. That's what comes to my mind, you know, like what I find important if you're at the beginning of a journey as an artist in this industry. So you don't have to work at a big studio, but I think it helps to have seen it. It helps, you know, learning about pipeline and collaboration and dealing with politics and of course, you know,
sorry to interrupt you. You can stop sharing so we see your face.
Oh yeah, sure. Wait. Okay, I'm gonna. Where do I stop sharing?
Like again, same button on top next to the leaf. There we are. Okay. Perfect. Okay.
Cool. I'm back. All right. So you don't have to work blah 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 because you're gonna learn about, you know, the pipeline and collaboration and dealing with politics and exposure to big high-end projects. I think helps everyone. Just, you know, like having seen how things are made on the highest level, I think that's a great thing to have gone through, even if you go on to work in a smaller studio afterwards. That's point one. Two is you'll be just as happy in a small team where you might have like an opportunity to be less specialized and have a hand in lots of different disciplines. And no matter what you do, I have not seen anyone reach true excellence without truly hard work. That's like, I mean, if anything comes through from what I've just, like the story that I told you is like, it's the hard work that brought me where I am, because I didn't start out with the right education I didn't start out, as especially motivated person. It's just like, it's finding your passion. That's actually the next thing, and hard work once you've found it. So find your passion, find the thing that you want to do without anyone asking you to do it. That's where you do the best work. If someone has to, breathe down your neck for you to get stuff done, then it might not be, the thing. I mean, there's always things that you have to force yourself to do, but in the beginning, like, no one had to tell me anything. I was doing things on my own in my own time. No one had to pay me for this, or one had to, like, be with the whip behind me. And once you found your passion, be relentless in its pursuit, because people will test you, or people will question you, people will laugh at you. I mean, that's what I found, having completely like broken out of my environment, and just like not giving into temptations that can lead you astray, in the pursuit of a goal. That has been a big topic for me, and always questioning if this is still what you want to do, and if this is bringing you closer to your goal, or if it's away from where you want to go. Then third to last, don't be an ass.
It's very interesting. Like 2 days ago, we had an industry guest speaker for game design students from another pathway, whose Elliot is the pathway leader. And she said the same thing. She, in the advice, one of her major advices was just like, treat like your peers, the people around you, nice. Don't be an ass. That's.
I feel like it's easy to get to have your ego inflated. Actually, I feel like sometimes at some certain points, before I like got kind of smacked down a little bit, I felt I was a little bit like that too, where you've worked competitive games, and I've seen this at several companies, where people just, they can't get over all this cool stuff they've done, and they feel special. And we're all at this level, everyone's good. Yeah. So you're not special. And so yeah, don't be an ass. And then a big thing that I had to learn as well is focus. Don't watch YouTube while you're working, or watch your work. Animation is so much about, like, in one way it's framing through it, but it's also seeing stuff in motion and noticing whether there's like a hiccup somewhere, or does it have to be a little bit faster, or it has this like this, is this head tilt 2 frames too early, or something like that. And you only see that when you focus, and you're completely immersed with your work, and if you have a distraction next to it. I remember I was teaching at the University of Applied Science, or School of Applied Science in Switzerland, a summer course. People paid to come to that course, and there was this one student who was watching YouTube all day, had YouTube, like a little YouTube window open next to her Maya, and she was one of the weakest students. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're here you paid to learn. You're coming in summer, you're spending your summer here, and you can't focus. And that's something I think that's going to come up in a studio environment as well. Like, I mean, some people do have, like, sometimes people have like a basketball game up or something. And that's, like, for certain tasks, that's fine. But as a junior artist, you don't want to get caught watching YouTube.
Yeah. Important points.
Yeah. And the last one, and that's, I think, the big topic that I try to also bring through in my talk, is find mentors.
Yeah.
There's this great book by Robert Greene that talks, it's called Mastery. And one of the big topics in there is like finding mentors that can help you in this one step on your way. Like, wherever you're at right now, there's a mentor that can help you. And that's a big thing. Like I've always been looking for mentors. I still have them. And it's not for someone to tell you what to do, but for someone, you know, like to inform your decisions in a sense. You know, you have your own decisions in the end, but seeing how someone else does it, someone else who's believable, like someone else who, you know, has achieved things that you haven't yet, that's the people you want to model yourself after, and that's the people you want to pick carefully. And I can only name about like a handful of people that I consider these kind of people that I model myself. And yeah, so now speaking of mentors, that's what we are actually kind of trying to do at Floating Rock. Like we are soon, like we are pitching on some big work, and we are looking to bring in juniors. So,
nice.
And we are looking to make
everybody, you know, keep that in mind.
You know, like we are like our goal is to, you know, like bring people in and nurture them and have them grow. Not just, you know, I think a lot of companies take advantage of juniors, as you know, like just have them do the grunt work and you know, cheap labor. And that's not our goal. Like we want to, that's something that we really want to change in this industry as well, as bring someone in and lift them up to the next level. Whether they stay with us or not, we can't influence that. But so yeah, stay in touch if you are interested. We're soon going to release our new website on the new demo reel, and hopefully you'll be more interested in this.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That was a fantastic talk. So Daniela asks, is remote work a good idea for a junior artist? Like, will I miss out a lot of learning opportunities if I do remote work as a junior artist?
Well, the thing is, yes, I think if you can, at some point, I would try and go work in a studio. At the moment, it's hard just because of how the world is
COVID,
going.
yeah.
And I mean, I've been working remotely for the last few weeks as well, but it's good to have the experience in the office, sitting in. There's been so many times where I've been sitting in a room with bloody people, you know, like people who've worked on Lord of the Rings, and I didn't have to say a word. I was just listening to the conversation that they were having, and that's, you know, stuff that I guess gets lost a little bit when you're only connecting with people through Teams or Zoom or Skype or whatever. So if you can, I would, you know, no matter what you want to do down the road, at some point, I would definitely try to get into a studio environment.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Any other questions? We are well. I think we have time for a few more questions.
If you have any, you know, like further questions that come to your mind later, you can also just.
Okay. So that was actually my question. So like, do students can they be in touch with you at some point? Yeah, like, because most of them are third-year students who will graduate soon. So they have done fantastic works on their project, and they're preparing showreels. Is it okay if they get in touch with you to get feedback about their stuff?
Yeah. Why don't you just send it to the Floating Rock email, actually, so that my partners see it as well.
So that would be what's that email? You can type the email here in the chat.
I don't have a chat.
Okay, just or send it to me and I share it with
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I share it with them. So yeah, that's great. Thank you so much, Lukas. We all do like a virtual clap for you.
I hope it wasn't too long, and I hope I wasn't rambling too much.
No, it was actually what I was looking for, like things that go beyond the art and the industry. It goes into the realm of living experiences and words of wisdom, I should say. So yeah, I hope the COVID will vanish soon and then we come back to normal life, and you and your partner, whenever you come to Auckland, come and say hi.
We will. Yeah, that would be awesome, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, and have
Thanks
a
a lot.
lovely weekend. It was a fantastic talk. I'll upload this soon
Thanks a lot.
on YouTube and send you the link.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.